Wednesday was a night in Laval, Quebec, the unveiling of what the newest Canadian Premier League team would be all about. Their identity revealed, a little bit of nostalgia as they go back to the Supra. FC Supra de Quebec was introduced. Former players from the Supra circa 88 to 92 were in attendance. The ownership was galvanized. The Prez, Rocco Placentino, had a big night as well, and he clearly stated what this FC Supra team is going to be all about. Basically, it's for players who are raised in Quebec or who consider themselves Québécois. It's kind of like the Athletic Club, Bilbao, of Canadian football. They only keep players and bring through players that are born and raised in their region in order to form their collective identity. So it's quite clear what the identity of FC Supra de Quebec is going to be all about. Wheeler, Wilson, and Conway with you. The question is, both on and off the field, will that work?
I think so. Well, I think when you start a club, you have to have a certain ethos, mantra. You also have some people to buy into that. Naturally, with Quebec and with Montreal and with that Laval area, you're going to get that. Now, if you make it a mandate or something that you want to follow, that people that play for the club have grown up there, it makes things so much easier. You look at certain clubs that have succeeded as well in the Canadian Premier League, it's the backbone of the team is from that area, whether it be Bobby Smirniotis coming from, you're looking at Sigma as well, players that he's known and he can watch and grow up. But now you're getting the same with Quebec. So I think it's a situation where playing with players and even watching this league, so many players from Quebec would be like, if we had a team, what it could be like to actually speak French, to play with players you grew up with or players that you've known. So, John, I think this is a win-win on all fronts.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all fine and dandy if that's what you want to do and that's how you want to go about your business. But I do think you need to sprinkle in a little extra with players maybe outside of the area, maybe some foreigners coming in that makes sense for that area and for the language barrier and for everything else. I think that would be great. I do think they need to be specific with their representation of players coming out of Quebec because there's a lot of great players that have come through there and how they make that work. And I think this is another great pathway for those players to move up in the professional ranks.
I love aspiring to do that, however, because Quebec, a very defined region, a province in this country, and just in terms of identity, what it means to be Québécois. And I think that there's ample opportunity for young players. Placentino said it, and I loved it. Like, we want to be that club for the community and represent where we play and represent the people that are going to come out and care about this. He said it's for the kids. That's why I think that they hit the right tone. The nostalgia aspect, an important club that was a predecessor for the Impact that really kept pro football alive within the province during the late 80s and early 90s, but being forward-thinking, having owners and ownership who are clearly thrilled over the moon by becoming part of this venture, and Placentino, who's wanted to make this a reality for quite some time. So if that passion in that community, if that's what it's all about, then go get it. And because I know there's been a lot of criticism in Ontario and British Columbia, missing players here and there and not coming through the academy. Same thing goes for CF Montreal and the Impact. I mean, there's a number of players who have been completely missed as well. So cast a wider net, provides more opportunity. That's what this league is all about.
For sure, and it's connecting the past and the present. How many CPL teams could you have that would fill a stage with players that are involved with the club like 20, 30 years ago? That's what happened on Wednesday night, right? Filling the stage. So I think that's a beautiful thing, and you have an ethos and a mantra that you can live by. So, yeah, hats off to them, and I hope they have a lot of success.
On the field, they're going to have an opportunity to not only bring in players who are either playing in like the A-League there or development circles around there. There's also a willingness to work with CF Montreal to bring over players on loan. CF Montreal doesn't have an MLS Next team to bring them over. I'm just not sure what that relationship with Saputo will actually be like. He's kind of being like the godfather in the province. He's provided opportunity, a lot of funding, backing programs, having control over them as well. So I just wonder what this relationship will look like. Competition's a good thing if it's welcome competition without hostility. I have no read on what that situation is going to look like, but territorially, and considering how CF Montreal is being perceived, not the club that represents a community, it's going to, at the very least, John, be something to monitor to see how that relationship unfolds.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if I was Supra, how I would sell it is that to Saputo and the CF Montreal is that this benefits you. How can we benefit you and make this better? This is helping the whole environment. How can we move this along? And then it's going to be up to them and what they want to do and how CF Montreal wants to approach that. It also could light a fire with CF Montreal, knowing that they have some competition, knowing that they have to change how they do things internally and how they elevate their group and what they're doing to make them better, because they've been poor the last few years.
I also think about with Supra as well, from what I've heard and what I could just imagine is like, if you take the Laval and the CS St. Laurent, all those talented players that are League One, semi-pro professionals, CF Montreal is not using them. Maybe, I know the Canadian Premier League is not a stepping stone, but in that way of just getting players blooded and making sure that they're playing professional games, this could just help the whole ecosystem of Quebec. Like, this is what this league could do. So when you're seeing players that you're like, that's maybe too big of a jump from playing semi-pro to playing MLS, the CPL is where you can really go and have a year or two to understand what it's like to be a pro. So I think there's just a feel-good story all around, and Supra is really going to be successful.
There are a number of players from the province of Quebec, when we talk about what this team might look like, who have excelled, who have shined elsewhere across this country. Here's a potential group of free agents. The top three, Salter, 18 goals this season, by the way, Chouanier and Rea, do not have options on their contracts. The other players, we shall see. This would be a decent foundation to build out from if you're able to entice these players to come home. And Jordan, I know that you said this for a long time, based upon players from the province of Quebec that you played with, that you know across the Canadian Premier League, there's an appetite to go play within their home province.
100%. I remember in the bubble, quick story, in 2021, the Habs were playing in Montreal and they were in the finals as well. All the players got together. We weren't supposed to see teams outside of your team. Everyone got together. It's a whole community, and I always understood it. Speak a different language, grow up a certain way, culturally. So you want to play at home. And I've said this so many times, as an analyst, but as a player, there's no one in Canada that has more pride than Québécois. Like, they love being at home. They love being around their dogs and their people. So you could see a player. I know it's crazy because you said 25-piece, but he's on the trajectory of 20. Supra could maybe make him an offer, and he might take it because of just playing back at home. Sammy Saltbay, Sammy Saltbay.
That would be, based upon the way that Salter's played this year.
He's going?
That would be the epitome of a marquee first signing.
Yeah.
If you could get the player that's smashing the goal-scoring record to come back home and play in the province of Quebec, wouldn't that be target number one, or at least part of the conversation?
Should be a part of the conversation.
You target the spine of the team, and he would be in that spine at the number 9. You obviously would need a goal scorer. He's been excellent this year. Why wouldn't you go after him?
Yeah. Based on that group of players, like, you see the foundation. I always say that the Quebec market, they care about the game just as much or even more than anyone else in this country.
Yeah.
Sprinkle some of those players in. The domestic, or the other players in the region, like, we've seen Bombito overlooked, we've seen Kone overlooked. There's a community of individuals who live in the province of Quebec who are continually bypassed or looked over for whatever reason. This could be a really good landing spot. And Placentino, based upon being the technical director at CS St. Laurent, he knows the lay of the land. He knows the players out there. That gives them a head start, much like Cavalry had a head start or Forge had a head start based upon those League One relationships.
So we saw a few years ago CS St. Laurent with the positive result against Halifax and the number of players that left CS St. Laurent after that.
Yeah.
Now, they don't have to go anywhere. I mean, they're at CS St. Laurent. They can just go down the road and then be at Supra based on performances. It just makes a lot of sense and a really good, pathway for these players.
I'm pumped. By the way, sorry, Ottawa fans, I'm not trying to take Salter away from you.
Can we just say something quickly?
Like, there's going to be interest after this season, for sure.
The way the front three have played, it's very difficult in modern-day football to keep that three together. All we're enjoying right now we got to just enjoy it because 2026, who knows if Salter, Balou Tabla, David Rodriguez will all be playing for Atletico Ottawa. That's just how things work.
All right. Congratulations. Like, there was genuine buzz. The event had a real big feel to it.
Yeah.
Bigger than a lot of other sports that introduce their teams in the marketplace.